She was just a poor office girl, jumping and cursing under her breath because she couldn't reach a file on the highest shelf, until the man she insulted turned around and revealed himself as the cold, untouchable CEO. What happened next flipped her life upside down in ways no one saw coming. If you love dramatic love stories full of twists, power shifts, and irresistible romance, subscribe now and don't miss a single moment. This story will stay with you long after the end. Lena had learned long ago that the world did not bend for people like her, not for girls who counted coins before buying breakfast or stitched the same worn button back onto a blouse 3 times because a new one felt like a luxury. So when she stood alone in the vast silent archive room of the Shungwa Group headquarters, staring up at a file placed mockingly high on the top shelf, frustration finally spilled over and she jumped on her toes, muttering curses at whoever had designed such an inhuman storage system, her soft sneakers barely leaving the ground as she whispered that the company's leadership must be run by giants or demons or heartless rich men who never considered the struggles of ordinary people. And when she made one last jump and hissed, "Stupid CEO, may you choke on your money," she never imagined that a deep, calm voice behind her would say, "That's a very specific curse," causing her heart to slam into her ribs as she spun around and found herself face to face with a tall man in a perfectly tailored black suit. His sleeves rolled slightly to reveal a watch worth more than her yearly rent, his expression unreadable but eyes sharp and observant, and in that instant Lena's soul nearly left her body because she recognized him immediately from the company website and internal emails. Adrian Sheng, the reclusive CEO who almost never appeared in person, the man rumored to fire employees with a single glance, and before she could stop herself she blurted out an apology so fast it tangled itself into nonsense, explaining she hadn't meant it, she was just tired, she hadn't eaten, she was short, and the file was too high, and instead of reacting with anger Adrian simply reached up effortlessly, pulled down the file, and handed it to her while studying her like a curious anomaly, noticing the way her fingers trembled as she took it and how she instinctively bowed her head as if expecting punishment, yet something about her raw honesty and unfiltered frustration amused him in a way nothing had in years, because everyone around him either feared him or flattered him, never daring to be real. And when Lena prepared herself for termination on the spot he surprised her by saying, "You jump like a rabbit trying to reach a carrot," a comment so unexpected she blinked up at him in confusion, and then he added, "Cute, but inefficient," before walking away, leaving her standing there stunned, replaying the moment over and over and wondering if she had just survived a miracle. Yet the encounter did not end there because from that day on Adrian began to notice Lena everywhere, in the cafeteria where she carefully picked the cheapest meal, in the elevator where she stood quietly in the corner, and in meetings where she took notes with fierce concentration despite being just a temporary assistant, and what fascinated him most was that she never tried to attract attention or leverage her looks. She worked hard, spoke honestly, and apologized sincerely when she made mistakes, and when he deliberately assigned her tasks that were slightly above her position she completed them with determination, often staying late without complaint, which reminded him painfully of himself before wealth hardened his world. And soon rumors began to spread that the CEO had a favorite. Whispers that made Lena's life difficult as colleagues eyed her with jealousy and suspicion, yet Adrian did nothing to stop the rumors, partly because he didn't care and partly because he enjoyed watching Lena's reactions when he treated her kindly, such as leaving a warm drink on her desk during late hours or casually instructing HR to raise her stipend, acts that confused and overwhelmed her because no one had ever spoiled her without expecting something in return. And when she finally gathered the courage to confront him, telling him nervously that she didn't want special treatment and feared losing her job if people thought she was relying on him, Adrian surprised her again by admitting quietly that he simply wanted to see her smile more, confessing that her presence brought a strange warmth into his rigid life, and though Lena tried to maintain distance, fate had other plans when a rival company targeted Shungwa using insider leaks, and Lena, by pure chance, discovered suspicious data while organizing files late at night, her heart pounding as she realized the implications, and instead of ignoring it she brought the evidence directly to Adrian, an act of courage that saved the company from massive losses, revealing that the traitor was a senior executive who had underestimated a poor, invisible girl. And when the crisis ended Adrian publicly acknowledged Lena's contribution, promoting her on merit alone, which silenced many critics but also painted a target on her back. Yet Lena endured the pressure, growing stronger, more confident, and slowly shedding the fear that had once defined her, while Adrian found himself drawn deeper into her world, learning about her sick mother, her childhood of scarcity, her quiet dreams of stability and respect. And one rainy evening when Lena fell ill from overwork and collapsed in the office, Adrian carried her to the hospital himself, sitting by her bedside through the night, realizing in that vulnerable moment that his desire to spoil her like a bunny, was not about control or power but about protecting something fragile and precious in a world that had been cruel to her. And when Lena woke to find him there, asleep in a chair, jacket draped over her like a blanket, she finally understood that the line between them had already blurred, though she struggled with the fear that their different worlds would eventually tear them apart, a fear that proved valid when Adrian's family intervened, demanding he end the relationship for the sake of reputation and alliances, offering Lena money to disappear, an insult that shattered her heart but also awakened her pride, and she refused, choosing instead to resign and leave the company on her own terms, believing that love should never require self-erasure. And for a time Adrian let her go, torn between duty and desire, until the emptiness of his success became unbearable and he realized that losing Lena was the true failure, prompting him to make a public stand against his family, restructuring the company, stepping down temporarily, and chasing Lena to a small bookstore job she had taken, where he apologized not as a CEO but as a man, promising not wealth but partnership, not protection but respect. And when Lena saw the sincerity in his eyes, she finally allowed herself to believe that she was not a burden or a charity case but a woman worthy of love, and together they rebuilt their relationship slowly, honestly, facing obstacles hand in hand, proving to the world that even a poor girl who once jumped and cursed beneath a high shelf could reach happiness, not because someone lifted her up, but because someone chose to stand beside her, cherish her, and love her fiercely, like a bunny finally safe in a garden where she could grow without fear.